Two, one. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This is Kyle Krueger with Krueger With A Thought, and today I'm interviewing a famous reviewer that used to be with Mr. Code and Friends, the website.
No. I got back. I got back with them.
Oh.
That's the twist. I used to, but now I'm back with them.
Okay, so sorry. Introduced to you, this is Morgan.
Yes. Hello, you're listening to the voice of Morgan Ledger. I've only done vaulting, and if you've stuck with me for this long in my life, you probably know me for a wide variety of other things, but clearly the big one is the web show.
I wanted to ask you, what's it like being a YouTube reviewer?
Oh, that's a pretty tough question. For some, they see it as a profession, just being creative, making content weekly on a basis. But for me personally, I don't quite see it on that same level. I just mostly just do it as a hobby now. Back then...
You're cutting off, dude. Cutting off. Continue.
Okay, that was weird. I don't really view YouTubing as like a major profession. I just view it as a hobby on the side. But very much back then in the early 2010s, it was like this really big thing, just reviewing stuff. And now it's kind of come to that time where it's more or less passe. It's still kind of there, something to do, but not exactly something to be seen of like a major profession above the norm. So I just do it as like an on the side kind of thing because I like doing it. I like making people laugh. I like telling behind the scenes stories and stuff. That's really my ordeal. So I just see it as that kind of thing, just like a little tiny side hobby, but it comes with some fun side stories at the same time making these episodes too.
Cool. So I have to admit I was a fan of yours. I will admit that one time in 9th grade, God, that was a long time ago.
9th grade?
Yeah, I'm 23.
Nice.
So I watched you. I was a fan of yours. I watched one of the videos I watched was your top 10 controversial TV episodes. Anything.
Oh, the top 10 controversial TV broadcasts. I remember that one very well. That stemmed out of me and my high school friend Dan. He would always tell me like these really strange and unique incidents that happened. And one of them was like these variety of television broadcasts, and some of them made it on there. There was one in particular that he didn't know about that I told him. He was actually kind of surprised when I showed him the episode. But no, stuff like the Australia's Naughty Son videos and things like that. Those are sort of just, out of him remembering all those crazy things he told me and going on later and going, oh my goodness, there's so much material to do out of this. And after it was released, I remember there was so many people asking, is there going to be a sequel? And it's like, no, it's tough because you can't top what number one was. It's just too hard.
Let's not tell people what number one is. Let's not tell people what number one is because
no, let's not spoil it. It's for the best.
Right. I saw and I was like, okay, whoever put this guy on is high, drunk, or some guy with socially challenged skills.
It feels like a Saturday night. No, I take that back. It's like a Mad TV sketch gone wrong. That's the best way to describe it.
Except it's not a Mad TV sketch wrong. It's a real life thing. Okay, but anyways, I wanted to tell you a movie I like, but you probably don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla vs. Hedra. I'm sorry. I love that film.
Oh, the Smog Monster one. Yeah. You know what? There's weirder in the franchise. I'm not gonna bash on the beef of that one. Right now, what I'm doing is going back at older episodes and re-reviewing things I've done prior. So who knows? Maybe my mood is lined up a little bit on that one. But there's stranger movies in the Godzilla franchise. So
it's just the reason I like the film is I like Hedra. I like the idea of this alien. Slime monster who uses pollution as a weapon. Also, here's the thing that a lot of people... This movie was hated a lot. It has a cult following now. A lot of people...
I've noticed.
Right. But a lot of people compared it... Even James Rolfe, who I still love to this day, the Angry Video Gamer, he said in his review of... when he was in Monster Madness that he compared it by... Image-wise... he compared it
Oscar
to
the Grouch, yeah.
He was comparing it like instead of doing it a cool superhero way, he uses Captain Planet, and I like no. This movie, this Godzilla vs. Hedorah is Captain Planet done right because at least it shows people why pollution sucks.
Yeah, that's true. And in hindsight, I should mention that reviewed that movie before I saw All Monsters Attack, what some know as Godzilla's Revenge.
Right.
And that is probably
Worse.
the one that tips the scale because nothing happens.
Oh,
nothing happens. So
wanna know? I hate that movie.
Maybe my mind has gotten a little softer on Hedorah. I might have to rewatch that again in the future.
Oh, Godzilla's Revenge, aka All Monsters Attack. That movie sucks.
It did. I saw a Svengoolie airing of that one. I was just bewildered.
Want to know the one thing they did right? So, in 1969, there were some Japanese issues where kids have to be babysit in Japan. Mm-hmm. So, when you see the main character get babysit and his parents are not there, that's the only time where the movie feels like it's actually good. If it about what's it like having not having parents around. I was like, congratulations, Godzilla's Revenge, aka Hedorah. You're actually good at something. Realistic portrayal of something.
Yeah,
and then when
the Home Alone burglars coming in and trying to kidnap,
that's where the movie just goes downhill, and then it goes so downhill it can't survive, and it just goes.
Godzilla says I should learn to fight my battles, you know. Like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should revisit that.
I feel so bad for the English. I feel so bad. I feel so bad for that guy who voiced Minya. I mean, to be honestly fair, Japanese dubs of early stuff from the 50s suck. So he was he probably was the wrong guy at the wrong time. So yeah, okay, but anyway.
Godzilla versus Gigan. Anguirus, something's going on. You better check.
This sounds like a mystery. You know how in Mystery Science they like make this weird commentary. Yep. It's kind of like that, except it's in the movie, and it's not a joke. It's like I was like. Is this someone? This is like watching a hater commentate on what Godzilla films are, except it's not a hater. Though it would be funny to see some jerks. Okay, but anyways.
Yes, I've seen the cesspool of that, and they take Charlie Brown to do some really offensive things with it. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Right, but that's the thing. It's so. Okay, so I like how the movie look back to Hedorah. God, we've been off track. Okay, but I like how the movie looks. I like
that too.
I like how the movie looks. I like how it's visually good. A lot of Godzilla films, they look good, but they are not visually creative, if you get what I mean. This film is the most visually creative of the Godzilla films.
Oh, with the insertional showing the pollution and effects and everything.
Right, I also like the TV monitor where it shows like different things. That's really good, but it's like... The movie's just okay. It does the environmental message better than Captain Planet. That's the thing I hate the thing I hate about Captain Planet is that it's so one-sided with its pollution. Like with this movie, it understands it, but it doesn't like treat you like an idiot. It just says pollution's bad, it kills people. It shows you pollution
the effects and what it does.
Exactly. But no,
we're also Captain Planet. It's trying to be like Spider-Man, but with pollution.
I don't think you're talking about the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, right?
No, I'm talking the way they execute the idea of Captain Planet. It's like you could do that right, but it's so campy that it feels like something out of the 80s. They just shelved it and they just dug it out for that time.
It felt like it was a toy commercial. It felt. Yeah. I bet Captain Planet had a toy line and it never succeeded. Which, to be honest, I don't blame you. Okay, back on.
You can hear the people at Hasbro yelling, "You'll pay for this, Captain Planet!"
Okay, so, you had this weird, okay, so what was, oh god, sorry.
Take your time. No, it's okay.
So I saw you in Animat, by the way. I love Matt Brunet. Animat, awesome dude. You and him talked about how J.J. Abrams opened up about the Star Wars sequel series not being planned, and I saw that, and I can feel the pain and frustration you felt when you heard that.
That was such a shocker.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with this is that J.J. Abrams has been working in film since he was 16. Remember, he did the music for a movie called Night Beast. And you would think someone... Now, granted, J.J. Abrams wasn't famous in the 80s and 90s, maybe in the early 2000s and then the 2010s. But think about it. You would think someone who's been in movie behind-the-scenes stuff since he was 16, mind you, would know that planning your story out would be a good idea. You think he would know better, but... I don't hate J.J. Abrams as a person, but it's like...
I don't either. It was just a mistake, really. It was a case where there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. That's the best way to describe that one. I've seen... I can't tell you the movie stories I've dug up where it's a case where someone had an idea and it went this direction and that direction, this direction and that direction, and they try to do something with it. And when they finally do, it either comes out good, depending on who they get for it, or it does it because there's just too many visions going on. And you can tell when you watch a movie and listen to the other commentary and the director is describing what he's going through. I think a perfect example is, actually there's two off the top of my head. Would you prefer the nice version or the, oh my goodness, why would you listen to this audio commentary?
I don't care.
All right. If you listen to the audio commentaries for Barry Sonnenfeld's Wild Wild West and Bo Welch's commentary on Cat in the Hat, it's fascinating because they're talking more about the technical work.
Not the film.
The things in the environment, but they're not talking about the story or anything else. They're more focused on, the things at play. They're not breaking down how this happened. I had to give Ron Howard credit. At least when he was talking about the Grinch, he actually discussed some elements here and there.
Do you think Bo Welch hates the Cat in the Hat? I think he does.
I think it's a case where the experience kind of left him to what it is, because even that is one where it just eroded into something. Because at first it was going to be a Tim Allen vehicle, and it was done through DreamWorks. Brian Grazer was shepherding it, and they held off on it because of, if I recall correctly, it was because Tim was doing the Santa Claus movies with Disney, and at the same time they're trying to get the Grinch off the ground, so they felt, okay, we're going to use the Grinch as a test vehicle, and if that's a success, we'll do the Cat in the Hat. That was a hit, and they tried to get Tim back on, but he was too busy with Santa Claus 2, and so the chips fell into place one by one by so many things plugging in. Tim
Allen is bad luck with movies. I'm sorry. Other than the Toy Story series and the first two Santa Claus films and the Galaxy, what's that Galaxy movie called?
Galaxy Quest.
Tim Allen just has a bad history with movies. He's kind of like... Let's see here. He's kind of like Jason Alexander or Bill Cosby, where they're just good on TV, but when they go into film, it's like bad luck. You get what I mean?
Sometimes when they get a script, the first thing that comes to mind is I think it reads good on paper, and then when they perform it, something just doesn't work out so well. Chevy Chase.
I love Chevy Chase.
When he read the script for Dirty Work, he wanted to be in that movie because he loved the raunchiness and the R-rated feel of it. But then during post-production, that got turned into a PG-13 vehicle, and he was so upset because that's why he joined on, because of the ineptitude of adult humor. And then 1 year later, American Pie came out, and that proved him wrong as to how raunchy comedies can be hits.
Oh, God.
It's a win-win situation. It depends on who's in the feature and who is working with it.
Right. It's just that the thing is that JJ... Now, granted, I do have a theory. No, okay, it's not a good theory. I think JJ wanted to plan it out, but Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson were like, no. Because it's just that I think it works better when you plan a sequel series out, if you get what I mean. And I do. And JJ, okay, I will give JJ credit. He admitted it wasn't planned out. That's good, but it's like, do you what you want to say to him? No, duh! I'm sorry, it's just, I like JJ, but it's like, dude...
No, it's cool.
Dude, you've been doing writing since you were in Hollywood, and how come you not know this? It's like, even Uwe Boll, okay, not Uwe Boll, even Shyamalan knows this.
Well, last year, Last Night in Soho came out, and that was story credited to Edgar Wright, and even he directed it. And this is the guy that did the Cornetto trilogy and Baby Driver. So it's kind of a turn to see someone create a product that doesn't work for a particular viewer and a moviegoer. And that's understandable. Tastes vary. But when you're looking at the evolution of someone and think, oh, he can't do no wrong, and finally does, That's a typical standard thing. It just means they're human. You're gonna get that one director that makes a film that's either not going to work with you or it's not going to work with everyone. It's becoming a common occurrence these days, and that's something to sort of be okay with. It's okay. Flaws exist, so you know how to differentiate between the good and the bad. And that's a normality.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, it's just that he should have known better, or it's a.
He'll bounce back. He'll bounce back. They always do.
Right, but right.
Look at Jon Favreau. He has the Mandalorian.
Right. So I don't. It's just that you could tell that JJ and Rian Johnson just didn't know what to do, or they had a plan, but it's like everything was just. It was like throwing like a football. Everybody's just getting their turn, and it's not. I don't hate Johnson as a director. It's just when you look at his original films, especially Knives Out. Here's what I feel like Ryan's biggest problem is. To me, Ryan works better when he has his own stuff, when he has his own franchise, if you get what I mean. When Ryan in Last Jedi, you can tell that Ryan is not a director that can do a sequel, or if Ryan ever does like an adaptation, he's not very good at adapting, or in this case, continuing a story. And Last Jedi really shows that Ryan isn't good with sequels or adaptations, just his own thing. Because he doesn't know what to do with Luke's story after Return of the Jedi. He doesn't know what to do with Rey or Poe or other characters. He's just guessing what they're going through. He doesn't plan.
Well, it's more than just a directing issue. You also got to consider who's writing it, who's producing it, what's going into it in terms of studio heads. Like, make it this direction, have it go this chase. Not everything is the director's fault. And that's what I found in terms of researching. There are some cases where you look at a film and you're just wondering what's plugging into it. Hook, perfect example. Now, I love Hook. Really good movie. But when you look at the history and how it evolved, it's very fascinating. It started off as a musical that was going to be done with these different studios, and it just kept bouncing from one end to the next. It was going to be Peter Pan retelling by Spielberg, but that fell through when he had his first son. And he made Empire of the Sun.
Steven Spielberg's a dad?
Like yeah, he's a dad.
I think his son has a lot of shoes to fulfill if he does become a director.
Well, depending on what his son does, that's up to their choice. It's not ours. But regardless, in terms of Hook, it's a very interesting case here. It just all snowballed. It was going to be a musical at first. It was going to be directed by Nick Castle, who did Dennis the Menace, Starfighter.
You mean the actor who played Michael Myers was going to direct a Peter Pan movie? That Nick Castle?
Yeah,
whoa, that would have been... Yeah.
I have a lot. This is why I do my research. Do my research.
I love Nick Castle. I love Nick Castle. He's so... one of the things I like about Nick Castle, he's always into everything. He doesn't half-ass things. That's my opinion.
No, he's great. Unfortunately, if I recall correctly, he had some issues with some actors, and he fell out because he had some creative disagreements, which again is of the norm. And then Spielberg jumped back on when his son asked, "Dad, what happened to Peter Pan grew up?" And that's what got him the idea.
It's a good what if story, though.
A movie like that, and that's how they got Spielberg back on deck for that film, and that's where it led to.
Right, but you get what I mean with Rian Johnson. It's just like some like. I'm not trying to say that Ryan should be like James Cameron when it comes to sequels, because when James Cameron directs a sequel, he actually makes them like Aliens or Terminator 2. It feels like with Ryan, it's like he does care, but it's like he's better with his own material. He's not better. I mean, imagine if, let's say, Rian Johnson directed a film based off. Okay, let's use a book. Like, imagine if he directed like The Great Gatsby, or let's use an underrated cartoon, The Pirates of Darkwater. Imagine if he adapted those movies. He wouldn't know what to do with the characters, because it's not his characters. It's someone else's character.
They could say the same thing about Michael Daughtry with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. That's him just taking Godzilla and some of the characters from the Gareth Edwards film, but he's going in a completely different direction from what Gareth Edwards did with the first one. Same thing with Godzilla versus Kong. It has the same tone as King of the Monsters, but yet it has that over-the-top, campy feel that Kong Skull Island had. It really depends on who's given these ingredients of the feature and how they create them.
Okay, so back onto the subject. What do you think what is the worst film you've reviewed so far?
Wired. It always comes to Wired. That is the one movie that just makes me cringe so much. For the show, of course, but in terms of what I've seen, hands down. It's just that when I think back to the movie, it doesn't have a good message. The way it's taking this material and breaking it down into what it is, it just gets under my skin so much. You're taking this life of a person who's experienced so much, done so much, and you're turning into this big drug PSA. Okay, fine, but separate the biopic from the drug PSA. Don't make it this weird Christmas Carol story. I always keep going back down the line thinking, okay, which movies have irked me the most? And that's the number one that keeps coming up so much. And the interesting thing, it first started, I was working on season 5, and Stefan was the one that brought it up. He sent a message saying, I've heard about this movie I think you might be interested in covering. Saw it, didn't like it, but I kept thinking, okay, I want to cover this, but I want to get a little more in depth at what it's discussing and talking about. So I did read the book by Bob Woodard, because in order to understand the source, you got to go straight to the source, or at least have an understanding of it. And then finally dove into like some of the biography material, the stuff that Belushi did. So I finally came back around and watched the movie. I was inflamed. I was just so inflamed at what happened. And when you see me destroy the VHS tape, that's my real anger on the whole thing. I try to avoid that because I don't feel being angry or mad is funny anymore. You can get mad at something stupid or nitpicky, but it just does not feel right. I feel like this is the day and age where we're more or less trying to go into the analyzation, understanding of certain things. But yeah, I'm that movie. It just pushes my buttons in the wrong ways. I go into personal details why, but I'll put it off to the side. The main thing is that it was just a not very good representation of someone's life, and it should have been more of a celebration of life instead of saying, "Don't do drugs, they're bad, kid."
I mean, to be honestly fair, we all love John Belushi, so the idea of a documentary based off him is a good idea, but it was given to the worst possible person, so not the... You get what I mean?
I don't think it was the worst possible person. I think it was a case where the writer, who, interestingly enough, wrote Buckaroo Banzai, it was a case where they're just given something and told you got to do this and this and this, but of course there's legalities, representation of certain people and things like that get in the way, so they have to do their own variation. If that's the case, they could have done their own take and would have been fine with it, but they had the rights to Bob Woodard's book, and you got to do what you got to do. Recently, I've been watching some films for the 1981 holiday movie special, and there's one they did called For the Boys, which has like some eerie connections to some celebrities in the 40s and the 50s, like Bob Hope. And that's a way you can take something like that and do something original with it. But it will come off like a little manipulative in certain cases. But at least you're telling a story without having to do any historical representation or legalities and things like that. So there's ways around it. It just depends on how it's executed. And in the case of Wired, the execution was terrible. It's just so terrible.
I mean, to be honestly fair, like, John Belushi deserved better. He deserved way better than this film. I want to know how Jim Belushi feels. Is he John Belushi's brother, Jim?
Yes.
I want to see. I bet he hates this film, and I want to see a video where he just rips this movie apart. That would be funny.
I don't know. Somewhere out there, he's more busy with his marijuana farm, so I think he's a little happier.
He owns a marijuana farm. Oh, that's cool. But anyways,
He feels if his brother was alive, he'd like into cannabis and stuff, but recreational things. I don't do recreational stuff, but if you smoke, you smoke. Right. I'm not gonna knock you down for it.
Have you ever played Shaq Fu?
I've heard of Shaq Fu. I've never played it, but at the same time, there's plenty of video games I've played my time, which are better than Shaq Fu.
Dude.
like Cool Spot, better game than Shaq Fu.
Oh God, I mean, everybody has made fun of Shaq Fu because I mean it's just a plug for Shaquille O'Neal, which I don't mind, but it's like, really, a fighting game based off Shaq? If it was if it would have been cool if every character was like a basketball player from a different team, but no,
that would have been interesting.
But no, but I mean, I don't know what goes into 90s video game people in the 90s where everything is cool. I think they just base it off a focus group, you know, where they get a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing and just say, so what's popular? Well, dude, there's Shaquille O'Neal and fighting games, so let's mix them together. And then we
say that now, but you forgot Domino's Pizza's mascot, the Noid, got a video game a couple of times.
Oh yeah, it's way better, though. It's way better. But anyways, what do you think was the... Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. One of my favorite videos that I can't see anymore is your top 10 Twilight Zone episodes.
Oh, it's on Internet Archive. A lot of episodes are on Internet Archive. It's mostly because, obviously, the reason being there's, you know, copyrights and stuff like that on YouTube, and that's hard to get around. And I think that was the one video that caused my whole account to come down. But you move forward, you do what you can. It's an annoyance, but as long as you don't look back in anger and keep moving ahead, you'll be okay. There's good things up ahead. And thankfully, with the Internet Archive, you can see like a lot of the older shows on there. I'm not too proud of them because it was an early variation of the show. Moving forward, you pick up on things like how to edit stuff better, how to do audio mixing and things like that. But I just see those as like the primordial stages of what the show became today. But yeah, with that top 10 list, I could have done so much more. I don't think miniature should have been on there in the first place. Because later there was another season 4 episode of Twilight Zone I saw that was far, far worse than that. I think it was called Of Cliffordsville, where this guy makes a deal with the devil and it doesn't go out so well. It's so comedically paced. It feels like something out of the Red Skelton show. It's that absurd.
You got me into Twilight Zone because of that. A lot of people did.
Thank you.
So I've watched the 4th season of Twilight Zone, and
it's hit and miss.
No, I don't mind Twilight Zone being an hour-long series. It has the writing to back it up. It's just that this season feels more cursed than...
Yeah, that's a given. The CBS, they had a sitcom and it wasn't doing well, and so when that got the axe, they needed to fill out that time slot. Why don't we just expand the Twilight Zone into an hour? And it was just to cover that missing half hour they had. It's not an uncommon thing. When they were doing Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s, Muppet Babies originally was going to be paired with Little Muppet Monsters, but after, I think, 2 or 3 episodes of Little Muppet Monsters, they realized it wasn't working, so they 86 the Muppet Monsters segment and just add on another half hour Muppet Babies, and that's still at higher ratings. So it's a trial and effort ordeal. It's usually a case where, we just need to like fill this whole time, so we'll expand on that. But with the prospect of the 1 hour Twilight Zone, not all those episodes were terrible in season 4 because they had the aspect of the double twist, because you still didn't know where it was going to go. There's one in particular where you see this guy that's like a little out of it, but midway through the episode, he's revealed to be something he's not. And that turns into a whole bigger twist for the second half. So it really depends on how much you can stretch that dead air with something. You can do it creatively. The Outer Limits, that's another one, depending on the episode, of course. I'm never watching the Xanthi Misfits the same way again.
Right. The only episode I liked from season 4 was Turner's Devil.
Printer's Devil. That's on Burgess Meredith.
Yeah, but it felt like what made that episode good was like it felt like it knew what to do with the runtime. It felt like also Burgess Meredith is an amazing devil. Devil. You can tell from this episode he's having the time of his life with this beat up cigar and just acting like his makeup looks good though, even though but it's everything else is just okay. You could have done this better too.
Yeah, if it was cut down to a half hour, it would have been fine. It would have worked just as it was.
Season
It
5 got
really.
better.
What was that?
Season 5 redeemed it, but
Well, season 5 was when they went back to like the traditional half-hour ordeal, and again, it depends on who was writing it, who was directing it. Bewitching Pool, they shouldn't have ended on that one. That's a terrible one.
oh god, that episode has a great idea, but the execution just sucked.
Yeah, 2 other episodes I can think of from season 4 that are better than they should be. One is The New Exhibit, and the other is On Thursday We Leave Home. Those are ones that make greater use of the 60 minutes.
Right. What do you think? What is the worst top 10 you made? I'm sorry to ask you that.
Worst top 10?
Yeah.
I'm a little confused by what you mean by worst top 10.
What is the worst top 10 video you made?
Oh, I see. I don't recall making any top 10 lists unless you're referring to like yearly top 10s.
No, I'm just saying anything. Videos.
Like, I mean, the only one that really sticks out is the TV broadcast one because of how much effort and research was plugged into it. I mean, there was a time where I got burnt out and left the website for a little bit, and I just started doing some smaller videos just to keep myself going and stuff. But they weren't really major things. They were just like little, like, can I still continue on and do this kind of stuff? So it wasn't really an official ordeal. But in between then, I've kind of took a little bit of a pause on top 10 lists because they're so easy. They feel like filler episodes. It's like the clip shows of a TV show. It's just padding and footage here and there. But they're fun to do because you're ranking things and stuff like that. So I haven't done them in quite some time because I want to focus on individual reviews right now, just breaking things down and stuff. And once in a while, there's an anthology episode I'll toss in there, like just a compilation of like, 2-for-1 deals. So will I do top 10 videos again? Maybe. It just depends on the topic. There is one I've been kicking around for a long time, the top 10 underrated screwball comedies, because there are some really good ones that I think get swept under the rug too much that deserve a little more look, but that's one where it depends on the release and the timing.
Oh, that's cool, man. I watched your werewolf videos.
Oh, that's a good one. Werewolf movies of 98 and 1981.
Right. So what was your thoughts on the one starring Alan Arkin's son? I'm trying to.
Oh, Full Moon High. Full Moon High, that's the one. I think my thoughts are about as concrete as you see in the video. It's not good. It's not very, very good. I'm not against the idea of having a comedy or one that is out of the norm. But half of the jokes are not very good. They're not delivered well. Like, literally, the only thing that saved it was seeing Alan Arkin at the end playing off of his son. Because of the timing and the energy and the delivery and the way he was saying his lines, compared to everyone else, where it just felt like a really awkward sit. And not knowing much of the film, the plot, as I would say, not knowing much of the plot and where it was going, I don't think helped either. Because if you look at the trailers, it amps up like this big werewolf comedy, and then you see it, and it really starts to derail at a couple of points. Interestingly, Larry Cohen, who directed it, interviewed for the In Search of Darkness documentary, and he has some interesting tidbits about it that were helpful towards the episode. I mean, he understands why people don't like it, but he's still proud of it regardless. Like sometimes you create something that you might enjoy but others don't get, and it's a normality. That's fine.
It's totally, dude. I bet I will make a movie where I like but others don't. I like working on it, but I understand why people don't. Want to hear want to hear a joke I made? Well, at least Alan Arkin was used better than he was in Nort, so that's.
Oh no! Oh, that movie. Yeah,
they wasted him. His whole stick in that movie is I'm this dumb judge that doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm gonna explain things because it's funnier that way.
Right? It's like don't. Oh, by the way, anybody who's watching, do not watch Nort. It is terrible. And
I did catch a TV airing of that one. It's fascinating. Not good, It's bad. Believe me, it's bad. But it's just so fascinating.
Everything's a stereotype, and it's not good.
And the fact that it's from
Rob Reiner.
Kid, yeah. If it was set in the 1940s, I would be fine. But because it's in the modern era where you can't do things like that anymore, and this is a child prodigy that should know how the world works.
It didn't help that the movie was a spoiler alerts, people. But since this movie's bad, I'm not gonna say it's a spoiler alert.
Nobody's gonna see it,
right? It was all Elijah Wood, aka Nort's dream. The whole movie was his dream, and I was like, no. And it's. Do you want I said? I made a joke about this. I can only recommend this movie if you're racist, but even a racist person would not like this film.
No, they would want to rent Dukes of Hazzard. Who am I kidding? That's nope.
Right, but you get
just the good old boys.
It's just the problem with Nort is that the jokes all fall flat. It's just one joke. Alan Arkin is the best example because he's playing a character that's like, I have to explain everything. I'm the judge. I'm trying to be a judge, but I don't know how to. It's like, that's his whole stick. He's a judge, but you could tell how the way he acts, he was just thrown a hat. He was one of those people that was picked out of a hat to be a judge. He didn't really work hard to be a judge. Why am I putting more into the joke than I am? Okay, never mind. Okay, I love The Howling. I love that movie. That movie is...
Oh, yes, Joe Dante.
That movie is movie's visually good. I also like... not... Howling's good, but Wolfing's better. Wolfing feels so connected.
That is definitely interesting, because you come across movies like that where... Wolfen is one I've been meaning to watch for a very long time. And funny enough, me and my friends, we once in a while get together on Skype, and usually I do... We usually screen these movies for fun and also just to get an idea of what we're going up against. And Wolfen was one of those because I was actually really curious to see exactly what kind of feature it was. And it's unique because it's not a werewolf movie. It does use that topic as a bit of a red herring, but it's a much more scary idea altogether. It's these spirits that are so wandering the earth. And when you read the book, it's, which I've seen little snippets of, it's actually kind of interesting, just the ideas and the concepts they have. Here they changed up here to change it. Here the movie they changed up to be a little more modern with small certain things here and there. From what I recall, the Wolfen in the novel were supposed to be akin to Nightbreed, just these creatures that are living among humans, or else in the movie they're spirits, they're ghosts. So that makes it a little more intriguing and more chilling, just seeing these supernatural creatures just wandering around in New York City, just slaughtering people like cattle. It's a very unique idea. And I'm watching this with Gus, who you might know better as the Nostalgia Kid, and he was absolutely immersed into it. I didn't think he was to be that engaged. It was quite surprising. He was like, dude, of all the movies we've seen with werewolves, I'm so glad you showed me Wolf, and that was a good pick.
It's well done. I gotta admit, it's one of those movies that's visually nice. It feels like you're in New York, the dark side, the dark path of New York, where everything is shady and dark, and then people will show up and mug you, even though. But anyways, what do you think is what? So one of the movies you reviewed that stuck in my head, which there's been is that movie starring Andy Kaufman where he's a robot.
Oh, Heart Beeps.
I watched it. It was beyond boring. It looks nice. It's at least it has hard work. The hard work and dedication's there, but
there is effort, and I kind of wish I knew this information in advance. This is one of those movies that was heavily affected by test screenings. Oh. This is a movie that was affected by test screenings, and it doesn't surprise me in the least. I'm tempted to give that one a rewatch because I'm starting to think, maybe there's something a little more here, because there are some films I've reviewed in the past where I'm kind of curious to see if they still hold up or my feelings still remain the same. I think I mentioned this in the Muppets from Space episode. I collect a lot of TV cuts of movies because they have extra footage and stuff added back in, which is kind of interesting. Some of it aren't even on DVD, like the Coneheads. And I think I remember recording Buddy on accident. It was on this little standard definition network channel, and surprisingly, there was some footage they had back in. And did it help the movie 100%? No, but it fleshed out some things and added more pace to it, which is, needed for a flick like that. So it just makes me wonder, there's something a little more that I'm seeing on the surface here. And with Heartbeeps, yeah, it was filmed, it was edited. It did not test well, and so they went in and cut some stuff. The opening sequence with the crime bot, that was just added after post because apparently audiences love the crime bot. So that's one where I'm like, I wonder if maybe it's not as bad as it used to be. I'm actually a little curious, but at the same time, there is that caution where it's like, wait a minute, you remember not liking it. I don't know if I've told you the story of what happened. I was hyped because I was on this big Andy Kaufman kick.
I love Andy Kaufman.
So do I. Thank you very much. So I roped James and Sam, South Jersey Sam, into watching it, and because originally I was going to do Dean De Laurentiis' Kong movies that Christmas, but the schedule got busy. One thing led to another. Go figure. And so we were watching it together, and I could on Skype, of course, and I could slowly feel the increased heat around me. They would not have any of this. I'm just sitting there going, it can't be that bad. It can't be that horrible. And I remember the next day after, I was still bewildered by what I've just seen, and I took a walk around the park, just jogging my thoughts a bit. And right at the end of it, I realized, oh wow, this was a bad movie. But that was then. This is now. So who knows? Maybe some things changed.
Wow, you're a very good storyteller.
Oh, thank you. That's my ordeal.
Oh man.
There's so many I could tell. Even production stories, episode 100, and things like that. So,
man,
even stuff from my previous years. But it depends on what they're interested in.
Oh, dude. Want to know a funny thing about Livewire? I thought the comedian bot, I thought Rodney Dangerfield played him. I wish it was. He would have made this movie much funnier, to be honest. He would have been the highlight. Mm-hmm. But then I found out I think it was Randy Quaid. No, it wasn't Randy Quaid who played
Cat Stevens, I think it was.
Oh, dude. Like, you can tell he's trying to be like Rodney Dangerfield, but he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Well, but Livewire, it's just boring bad. I've seen worse, but
Livewire?
No. Heartbeats. I've seen.
Heartbeats, yeah.
It's boring bad, but I've seen worse. So it tried. That's good. But anyways, what is your so? Do you have an opinion about the Kong, the Dos Rentis Kong films?
I recently did a review of the first one. You can see it for yourself. I have a huge soft spot for it. It's campy at best. Not as great as the original.
Or the Peter Jackson film?
In comparison, the Peter Jackson film feels like a polished fan film, but at best, Jackson has his own unique style and take, and that is what it turned out to be. I remember seeing that one in theaters, and I enjoyed it. I thought it's fine. But that's what it is. It's an interpretation. It's not trying to outdo what was done
trying to be its own version.
But there's so few remakes that actually do that, like Cape Fear, for example,
right,
by Martin Scorsese. In regards to King Kong Lives, that's one I would love to do in the future at some point. It is a mess. It's an absolute mess, but it's such a unique mess of itself.
You know what? The only time I like the film is when Kong is interacting with his future wife. Mm-hmm. The scenes where it feels like, oh, this is pantomime. This is actually... and then when he my favorite part is the ending where he just destroys everything and then Kong lives with his son. So it's like, okay, there is a story here, but we have to get through all this crap.
Oh yeah, him in the cell snacking on baby alligators.
So it's like, also the explanation is like, would it make more sense if Kong had a son? Imagine if King Kong was dead and then the second movie's about his son. It's like, why would you resurrect a giant monkey? He's gonna kill people again.
That's why we have Kong. That's why we have Kong Skull Island. When you think about it,
that is true. Do you think Kong? Oh, dude, I don't want to mess with. Dude, if I was a giant monster, I would not want to mess with Kong from Skull Island. I would have gotten ripped apart. He probably would have Mortal Kombat me, hard style. and then eats it like it's a banana, peels it, and then it's salt. Oh, by the way, people, he's exactly.
I can't.
And then,
I can't. It's just...
Right, but you get what I mean.
Yes.
The weirdest part about Kong, when you compare him to other kaiju Toho monsters, is that he doesn't have a lot of powers. He's just, he has super strength, but he doesn't have a lot of blasters or flight or a unique power. He's the
That makes the battle between him and Godzilla more interesting.
He's the most simple monster. He's the one simple but brave.
He's a basic case of nature created from nature, whereas Godzilla is a case of nurture from an atomic bomb.
I'm trying to think what Varan is. You know what Varan is, right? Varan the Unbelievable.
Varan.
Oh, okay. Varan is an underrated Toho monster that gets the shaft every time in Toho films.
Oh, you mean Baragon?
No, not Baragon. Varan. Varan. He's the lizard with the flying that has the wings of the flying squirrel.
I feel like I should know this, Varan.
He's underrated. It's just too bad Toho does not use him. I'm sorry. It's just as much as I love Toho, sometimes when they don't use him, it hurts my heart. And a little fanboy side of me says, "Come on, just give him the chance. He deserves it." But
he has an interesting design. It looks like Anguirus, but a little more scruffier.
He's more like a Komodo dragon. Oh, God. Varan gets the shaft. Varan needs more love. That's why I will make a movie one day about him.
He's in Destroy All Monsters. That's a little bit of a good sign.
Yeah, but it's a cameo. It's a small cameo.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, man, he's in the video games, but that's...
And books.
Yeah, but movies, people just watch movies. So I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever watched Disney's The Black Hole?
Yes.
That film is...
that's one on the roster I've been meaning to get to for some time. It just depends on what movies I love to do for the schedule, because when you really plan things out, you got to think to yourself, okay, what am I interested in to do for this year? And even as we speak, I'm still trying to plan out things for season 9. It's just a case of the timing, when it's the right point to get to a feature film like that, and exactly how to balance it all out. Because even if when I ask folks through the surveys and things on what episodes they'd love to see in the future or what ideas they'd love to see, it's really just a straw poll, just a rough idea of what to go for, what they could be interested in. But you never know. It's such a coin flip. 1 year, I think midway through the season, I suggested Cutthroat Island, and there was a lot of interest in it. And then by the end of the year, there was like this much interest into it. So you never really know. But Black Hole is one I'd love to do in the future at some point, because it's a fascinating film on many fronts. It was one of Disney's more mature films. At least that's what I thought until I saw Midnight Madness last week, and that was an amazing, amazing movie.
Eddie Deason was the best part of the film.
No. David Naughton going against Stephen First. That was the best thing of the film. Pee Wee Herman as a Pinball City manager
I know.
with guns that shoot.
Sorry, I just like Eddie Deason.
That's a great part of the film.
I just like Eddie Deason. Eddie Deason's just funny. Underrated as hell.
Yeah.
Midnight. One time I wanted to do a remake of Midnight Madness when I was in middle school. It sucked. I buried the remake. You know why? Because it was terrible.
Well, sometimes it's about the interpretation of what you do with a remake or a film. You have an idea, you think to yourself, I can't top what was done first time around. How can I do my variation to get it to stand out? And that's really a key factor when you're retelling a story, is what you feel needs to be improved or what you feel doesn't need to be improved, so you can carry some of those elements over and elaborate from there. And those are very important benefactors when doing a new variation. It's a case of knowing what made the source stand out so much and what you can do to provide something new to your take.
That's cool, man. I agree, but I'm not gonna remake movies for a while. I'm just glad to do my own thing.
Yeah,
because
that's cool. That's cool.
but I like Black Hole because it's well done. I love the ship in the movie.
Mm.
Roddy McDowall is as Vincent is amazing. I
Oh
love
yeah.
Vincent. I just want if there was even a joke. Okay, one time I was such a big fan of the movie. I said Vincent's better than R2D2, and everybody just keeps going like, oh no, he's not. It's like Vincent could kill a giant robot.
Yeah, have you seen the movie?
Right. R2 couldn't. He needed help to stop a robot.
Yeah, and you got Slim Pickens as old Bob.
Right. Oh, dude, dude, it's kind of weird to see. The cast is interesting, though. You got Anthony Perkins, you got Roddy McDowall, you got...
There's Portnine's in there.
Evil!
Exactly.
And then you got... The only cast member I didn't like was the girl who played the main female. It just felt like she was just...
Oh, Yvette Minu?
I bet she's a good actress, but she just wasn't on her A game this movie.
She was in the Time Machine. I think she was the love interest of that one, if I remember correctly. That was like her breakout role, if I remember correctly.
Right. What do you... Okay, so what do you think... Okay, so what's your favorite... You also... Are you going to review the last ship of Noah's Ark, which you mentioned in your the Devil and Max Devlin review?
You mean the last flight of Noah's Ark?
Yeah?
I already covered that one.
Oh, dude, oh man, I forgot.
Yeah, that's season 3. That's why I always stress a lot of the older stuff is on Internet Archive, and again, it's because for copyright reasons I can't bring those old episodes back. Some of them I'm a little embarrassed to look at because they don't feel finished or 100% completed, and that's because back then when I did the show, even by the very first episode, they were all ad-libbed. Because I was doing college, helping folks out, so I would literally just plop the camera, and I just say what was off the top of my head, and I would go in, edit and stuff, and any jokes I did last minute, I would just splice them in. And rule of thumb, you always have a plan. Always have a plan. I did not have a plan when I was filming those episodes. I would just say whatever came off the top of my head, and that was the script. I would take that.
Boys. Sorry
about that. No, it's okay. It's okay. No, you're the moderator. I dip. Take 2. So yeah, back then there was like no plan when it came to the show. I just plopped the camera, so whatever was off the top of my head, and just spliced it as one episode, and that was not a good idea. Not a very good idea. So midway through season 3, I realized I'm gonna burn out. I'm gonna stop doing the show because I can't keep going. I can't ad-lib an episode. So I literally sat down when I was doing the Lord of the Flies episode because I realized if I'm going to compare and contrast the adaptation to the book and the previous adaptation from the 60s.
Continue on.
So yeah, when I went to sit down and do the Lord of the Flies episode, I realized that if I'm going to do a review of that particular movie, the 1990 adaptation, I got to write it down. I can't just sit there and relay some thoughts because there's so much to compare with the book and the 1960s adaptation. So I wrote it, as you've seen in the episode, and I realized, wow, there is an importance. This is the backbone. This is the blueprint. And so that's why I started scripting from then on in. It's a little bit of a pain because it takes some time, but there's an art to it because it's your thoughts, it's your experience with the film and how you feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
So those older episodes, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I'm not too happy with them. So that's why I'm revisiting some of the older stuff. That's what I'd love to do in the future at some point, the last flight of Noah's Ark, because there are some things I kind of want to elaborate on a bit more.
To be honestly fair, I thought the movie was just... I haven't watched the movie in a long time, so I don't have an opinion of it.
Sorry.
I just think it's just... From what I saw, I thought it was okay. Not the best Disney film, but not the worst live-action Disney film. Somewhere in the middle. Are you eating... What you eating?
Laffy Taffy.
Damn it, I want some right now. Sorry, That's the problem when you're interviewing people. You want to eat something, but you can't because you gotta be professional.
It reminds me of a story with Cloris Leachman when she was voicing a character on Beavis and Butthead Do America. She had like hard candy in her mouth when she was recording her lines, so they had a really hard time trying to take out the little notches of the little clicks and everything. So,
wow, what's your advice to moviegoers?
Brother, that's a tough one. My advice unto you is no matter how good or how bad a movie is, it is an experience. It is something that's going to stay with you, or it's just going to come and go as it is, depending on how much you love seeing movies. So, if you really love the art, if you really love the craft, appreciate it. If you really dislike the movie, remember, there's effort. There's people going in and doing these kinds of things. But there are cases where sometimes the effort is far from lacking and doesn't quite fully give you the experience you wanted. Just remember, there may be a bad movie out there, but that doesn't outweigh the fact that there's always a good one. So do not look back in anger. And whatever you do, don't stop renting and don't stop watching.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. Hey, thank you for being there. Everybody say thank you to Morgan. This has been Krueger With A Thought. Morgan, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.